Kimberly here. Thank you for coming to my channel. Well, the first Capitol rioter has been sentenced. Around 600 plus rioters, maybe more than that, maybe closer to 700 have been charged so far with anything from misdemeanors to felonies, some of them multiple felonies. Some of them are going to get probation. Probably a majority of the misdemeanors are going to probably end up with probation. But there's quite a few that are going to be going to jail. And I think one of the reasons why a lot of people probably get probation is a lot of these people didn't have prior arrest records, or of some that did have, very few had felonies on their record. So, a lot of these people, were professional people. They had to have the right kind of background to get these type of jobs. So, luckily for that, a lot of them will not be going to jail. And most of them are already out of jail, like on bail or on recognizance. But I think the more serious ones they've kept in jail, the ones that committed multiple felonies, a lot of those are, those people are still in jail. And the first one was charged yesterday, the first rioter. Her name was Anna Morgan-Lloyd, which is the last name that's hyphenated, Morgan-Lloyd. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation. And she was charged with 4 original misdemeanors. But in a plea deal that she took, it got pled down to 1 misdemeanor, and that's what she was actually charged with, which was... the charge was actually parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. So that's what she was charged with. And that's like the most benign of probably these charges. She was originally just going there to picket and to voice her opinion. And she says that she did get caught up in it. She did go into the building. She trespassed on the property. And she says that she did not participate in any vandalism or destruction, but she did enter the property after it was already, the doors and everything were already broken down. And that a lot of people who didn't commit violence were there, that had those people not been there, maybe it would not, in her opinion, she was saying that if maybe there hadn't been such a large crowd of protesters and picketers, maybe there would not have been so much violence if the numbers had not been so big, because the majority of people there were protesting and picketing. But then it became very apparent that a lot of people came there to do something of harm, either to lawmakers and to vandalize, break into the building. And she says she wasn't there on that mindset. She said that she was there for the call of her president, that she felt that it was her duty to support the person that she believed was still the president. And she has since backtracked on that. She was very contrite, and I think this is why she got probation and got a much lighter sentence. And she avoided 6 months jail time. Instead, she got the 3 years probation and a $500 fine. And she's very lucky for that, extremely lucky. And I think because she did not commit, violent acts and be part of the crowd that was vandalizing and destroying property, she's very lucky. She also, the $500 fine was to go towards the $1.5 million of damage that was done to the Capitol building. And there is about 200 people who have been charged with misdemeanors. And then there's approximately 500 people, and these numbers aren't exact, there's, I think, a little bit over, maybe a little bit over here and there, of the 500 count people that were charged with at least 1 felony. And many were charged with several felonies. But whether or not they can plead these down to a lesser count of felonies, or down from a felony to a misdemeanor, I think that's going to depend on their attitude and the way that they have been acting since they've been charged, and whether they've been still spouting the same rhetoric that ex-President Trump is the president instead of Joe Biden being the president. I think that mindset of whether or not they believe Joe Biden is the president, I think that will play a part in whether these judges, are going to sentence them to a lighter sentence, because they have to have some kind of contrition or have some kind of remorse for their actions. And if a judge doesn't see that, and that's with any crime, not just this, when you go to court and you're being charged with a crime, if you're smiling in your mugshot, and if you're defiant in court and you have the same mindset as when you're arrested, you're probably going to get a harsher charge because you haven't learned your lesson. You haven't, been remorseful or apologized or done anything to accept responsibility for your actions. So why would a judge give you a lesser sentence if you act like that? But this lady was very, very apologetic. She apologized verbally to the court, and she also wrote I think it was a two or several page letter, 2-3 pages, I don't remember, expressing, all of her regrets and the mindset that she had. She grew up in a small town, and she said that she had been a little bit isolated from some of the things that a lot of other people have experienced on a more national level. She had a mindset that was kind of characterized by her growing up in this small town, and she feels like she got caught up in something that she really thought she was doing what was right by her beliefs, and that she now regrets, what she did, and she's learned a lot. She's actually had to watch movies and read books about racial inequality and a lot of different things that she didn't take into account for. And she has a different mindset. She said she sees things a little bit differently, that things that she wasn't aware of that were going on in this country, that she wasn't, very connected to, and had a different, just her whole attitude and opinion was much different than the day of January 6th, because she did post on her social media on that day, after breaking in, doing everything she did at the Capitol, that it was the best day of her life. And she says she has regretted that. And it actually is significant in that it's probably the worst day of her life. And that she also talked about how it negatively impacted her family and her friends, the way that she was being viewed after what happened, as if she had done something, really wrong, which, when the British were invading this country, those people who defended this country were heroes. This is something else. These are people who are mad because of the outcome of an election. I could have just as well done this, because of past presidents that I voted for that didn't get elected. I could have went and destroyed property and broke into Capitol or other buildings or federal buildings and, did something stupid. But no, there's no way in the world I would think of doing something like that. So, and a lot of the minds of these people, they see themselves as heroic or doing something, as in, like I was saying, comparable to history, the British are coming, or, Paul Revere or somebody, it's a total, complete different thing. What our ancestors did was patriotic. They were saving this country from outside interference, not allowing this country to be invaded. And this, they were destroying their own country's capital. So the mindset is totally different. And if they don't show that mindset when they're in court, the difference in their mindset, I think their sentence is going to be a lot harsher than if they are apologetic and expressing the regret and the remorse, and that they've seen the difference in what their actions how their actions have impacted their life and the life of friends and other people around them. So this 49-year-old woman has a probationary period for 3 years now. She's got to pay a $500 fine, which is actually really small. I think it should have been much higher than that. She also had to pay attorney's fees, which are probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And when you're on probation, you got to pay probation fees. You got to have a monthly check-in. You may have to be drug tested. You may be limited in your alcohol consumption, or you may not be allowed to go to places that serve alcohol or be around people who are drinking. There's a lot of conditions they can put on you in probation, depending on the crime that you commit. I don't believe that she has any. I was on the understanding that she had no prior convictions for anything, and she could be limited from her social media and from participating in or being around those same people that she participated in this crime with. She may be limited to not being able to speak to them or have anything to do with them, because when you commit a crime and you get convicted, you generally cannot be around the other people that you committed the crime with. So some of these people, if she was friends with, and a friend was with her, and her friend is still waiting on her case to go through, and she could be barred from ever speaking to this friend for as long as the probationary period is for 3 years, So that can change the structure of her friends and her the way socially, how she has been accepted by people in that like-minded kind of world that she's been in. She may not be able to post on social media accounts. She may not be allowed to associate with those people. So it's going to change her lifestyle. So she's got all this on her, plus, she's been convicted of a crime. And now she has a record. So getting a job, and if she has not been fired from a job, I didn't find any information about that, but she could not be allowed to work in a certain field. I don't know what profession she was in, but she could, since she has a conviction, it could bar her from working in that field. She may have to find a different line of work. These people who did this, a lot of these people, again, were professionals, and if they're going to get charged with a felony, some of these lawyers that were participating, I think there was an accountant, I think there was other professional people, that could disbar them. They could not be allowed to work in that field. People may not want to hire them if they've been charged with something, especially something like this that was on national news. It's going to be hard to kind of hide this on your resume. It puts a stigma on you for the rest of your life, because this was, it was international news. So it's going to be really hard for some of these people to recover from this. And some of the people were probably expecting to get, a slap on the wrist, which some of these people probably will with the probation. But again, some of the people that committed felonies, they're going to go to jail. And some of them could go to jail for a very long time, 8, 10, almost 15 or 20 years. Some of them, because there's a few that did have, again, some prior convictions for something. I don't know what. But she's the first one who's been sentenced. And there's an oath keeper that has pleaded guilty. I think he's waiting on sentencing. And actually, they were talking about him. He may have to go into some kind of witness relocation program or something, because of how deep in he was with his group. And Trump has, denounced and distanced himself from these people. And so they're kind of stuck on their own. And these separate little groups that they went with, there's a lot of infighting now, because some of these people don't want to go to jail. They realize they made a horrible mistake, and they want to plead out. And some of the other more staunch, really right-wing people still want to keep this going. And there's a lot of tension between some of the people in these groups. So You know, this lady, she said she's had to apologize to her friends, her family. She's ashamed of what she did. You know, it cost her a lot of money. She's being looked at, you know, a little bit different. And plus, the way she got caught was about a week after she went to the Capitol. She went to go get a firearm permit. And the employee there recognized her from her social media post. And she's the one, that's how she got reported and arrested. Because she went to go get a firearm, and she had posted that on her social media, and she kind of gave herself away, and so many people knew her that, you know, people were following the threads on social media, and that employee just happened to recognize her from that post. Well, I'm going to update a little bit more on these as more sentencing comes in. I'll make some more videos and see how some of these other people are sentenced and make a comparison, you know, between who got light sentencing and who's going to be going to prison. Okay, thank you all and have a good day, and I'll be back with another video soon.